Good morning, everybody. Today is the second day of Mr. Lambert's evidence. As yesterday, the evidence will be transmitted over the live link, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed. Those with mobile telephones may use them to transmit what they hear in the hearing room, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed since the event that they're describing. They may not be used for recording or photography. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lambert, we're going to move this morning to Peter Francis's deployment and your management of it. Did you give Mr. Francis any advice to the effect that if he was going to have sex with somebody during his deployment, he should use a condom?
I'm pretty sure that I didn't.
Did you warn him that there had been an incident in the past where an activist had pricked holes in a condom and therefore he should make sure he used his own condom?
Well, again, I'm pretty sure that I didn't.
Did you give him any advice at all on the subject of sexual relationships undercover?
I've no recollection that I did. I can't rule it out, but I don't think that I did.
His evidence is that you did advise him to use his own condom. Are you saying he's lying, or are you saying you just can't recall?
I'm certainly saying more than I can't recall. I don't think that I'm pretty sure that I would not have said that.
If someone had come to you asking about the question of sexual relationships undercover and contraception, what would you have said?
It's hard to say now. I don't know what I would have said.
Can I move on to the question of criminal conduct undercover? Can we call up your witness statement, please? 36956 at page 130. And this is where you are dealing with questions about what Mr. Francis has said on the subject of authority to commit violent crime undercover. At paragraph 226, if you look at read the preamble, then we look at 226.1, please.
Yes.
And then if we can see the rest of it over the page. That sentence at the end, there was no specific level of violence sanctioned by SDS management, as you could not anticipate and cater for every scenario in any guidance. Read with the rest of your answer. It's implicit, isn't it, from that wording that you are saying that participation in violent crime against the person was not the subject of a blanket ban?
Was not the subject of?
A blanket ban.
Yes, that's right.
And so there were circumstances in which you could conceive that one of your undercover officers might have to participate in a crime of violence.
Yes.
Was that subject discussed with more senior managers?
Yes.
Being careful about anonymity, with which managers did you discuss that topic?
Well, I can't recall today, but I can be fairly certain that the topic would have been discussed with with other managers.
And the conclusion being that sometimes your officers might have to commit crimes of violence against members of the public in order to maintain their cover and further their mission.
In particular scenarios, contexts where they were having to defend themselves.
Self-defence is not a crime as long as it's proportionate. That's not what I'm talking about.
Forgive me then, I'm picking up the wrong point, but there was no specific level of violence sanctioned by SDS management. I'm talking about violence, and I'm thinking now of what was not uncommon. In other words, what was commonplace for field officers to have to deal with a violent situation that arose in their deployment, whether at a public order event or elsewhere.
And the bottom line was that you accepted some of your officers might have to commit crimes of violence.
Not crimes of, forgive me, I'm sorry, not crimes of violence, but, violence, defensive. Yeah.
Why didn't you say that in your statement?
Well, I obviously should have been clearer, but I think just reading the final sentence, I think that covers what I'm talking about.
And putting to one side what the actual ground truth was, you were receiving a lot of reports from, for example, Peter Francis, to the effect he was infiltrating a group that was attacking its political opponents.
Yes.
And you were content for him to participate in that sort of activity?
No.
Why didn't you prohibit it then?
Why didn't I?
Prohibit it?
Well, I don't accept the premise here that, at no time did I authorise Peter Francis to commit a criminal offence.
That sort of misses the point. I was asking you about prohibition. Was this another case of SDS management leaving officers to their own devices?
Not to their own devices, being aware of what the guidelines were on participation in crime, and acting accordingly, maintaining cover, and treading a very difficult line. But I think they were well supported in that. I think Peter Francis, at the time, I think he understood those perimeters.
If they found themselves in a situation where they could not avoid some involvement because of a risk that this might undermine their cover, then they should seek to minimise their involvement and then report the incident to their managers at the first available opportunity. That is not a prohibition on committing violent crime, is it?
Well, not all violence is criminal.
Did you expressly tell Peter Francis that he was on no account to commit a violent offence in any circumstances?
I certainly made him, he would have been aware of the guidelines on this topic, on participation in crime. He would have been aware of that.
Does that amount to a no?
I think it's neither, is it? It's an explanation of what I think what his understanding was at the time.
Being very careful about anonymity, did a UCO ever tell you that he or she had committed a crime of violence?
Not that I can immediately recall.
Or behaved in a way that amounted to a crime of violence?
Not that I can recall.
Can we take that down now, please? SDS social events. Did you go on one or more trips to Amsterdam with the SDS?
I can't specifically recall Amsterdam, and in some of the material I've read, I think there might be some confusion on locations. I can remember an SDS trip to Bruges.
Did you go to Las Vegas?
No.
Can I ask you now about the Lawrence inquiry?
Before we move on to that, can I just deal with a trip to the Netherlands?
Yes.
Or the Low Countries at least. There was a trip to Leiden in 1998 when you were authorised to go on it.
Yes, but
And
I think that's a deployment.
yes.
Whereas
No, you were authorised to go on it as a supervising officer, as a cover officer.
yes, which is operational.
Yes, but
Yes.
and that was for HN26.
Sorry.
HN26 was on it.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes.
Yes, I'm with you. Yeah. Well, that Leiden trip, I would expect to remember that, but I don't.
In your witness statement, you've erroneously referred to it as taking place in 1996, and you denied going on such a trip in 1996. But the documents show it's 1998.
Right. Either way, in respect of HN26, a support role for, is it HN26 and another field officer?
Yes.
And it shows me being authorised and maybe one or two.
Another officer going with you as a cover officer. Yes.
Yeah. Now, well, it's strange. I don't recall it whether it was 96 or 98. I'm sorry. Yep.
Forgive me for interrupting.
Not at all, sir. The Stephen Lawrence campaign. This question is about the period before the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, so between Stephen's murder and the inquiry. Mr. Francis has given evidence to the effect that in conversation you explained the purpose of reporting on the campaign as being part of an effort to educate the public about what the campaigns were really about. Did you say anything to that effect to Mr. Francis?
Well, I've no recollection of saying that's for sure, and I've thought long and hard about it. I really don't think that I would have said that.
Was there a feeling, first of all, that far-left groups were trying to use such campaigns to further their political subversive aims?
Yes.
And that part of the value of the work that you were doing was to get to the truth of what they were doing and disseminate that information to Special Branch.
Yes.
And then that intelligence could be used as needed to spread that message.
Yes.
And was there a feeling that anti-police campaigns also had the same effect? They were damaging to society.
No, I think the considerations between the two are would have been very, very different at the time. I think to some extent I covered this yesterday in regard to justice campaigns in North London.
Looking now at some of Mr. Francis's targeting and reporting, first of all, militant labour. We have a number of Mr. Francis's reports about militant labour. Don't think we need to go to them, but covering some of their campaigns, their annual conferences, a letter to their comrades, a report on a Marxist school, and a report where they're resolving to shout their revolutionary aims from the rooftops. Can we have up, please, 722654? This is the SDS annual report for the year 93-94. If we could have page 8, please. Could you go a page or two forward? I'm looking for paragraph 1.7. Thank you. The bottom of the page, paragraph 1.7. The information recorded there to the effect that Militant had by then withdrawn from the Labour Party meant that there's no longer any question of entryism, doesn't it?
Yes.
And by this stage, Militant Labour, which became the Socialist Party, was operating openly as a political party participating in democratic elections, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Although it had clearly enunciated revolutionary aims, the reality was that it had little prospect of victory at the polls, didn't it?
Yes.
And therefore little prospect of bringing about the end of multi-party democracy.
Yes.
So in subversive terms, it was not more than a minimal threat to the established system.
Yes.
So far as public order is concerned, the concern appears to have been youth against racism in Europe. The inquiry has had conflicting evidence about how YRE worked. Do you have any personal experience of YRE to assist the inquiry to resolve that dispute?
Well, I would have been able to at the time. I can't really recall today, but certainly I have some clear recollections of Peter Francis talking about this period and in a particular context, but which I perhaps don't want to touch on unless I...
Yeah, well, let me give you some direction. Is it fair to say that Peter Francis was producing intelligence reports which portrayed YRE as violent?
Oh, here, yes.
And presumably you were having frequent conversations with him about his deployment?
Yes.
Was he in those conversations portraying YRE as violent, or was he portraying them in ways which were then exaggerated or emphasised in the reporting?
I think I can recall that he was targeted against individuals that were violent,
When you say they were violent, what was your basis for saying that? Was it purely reliance upon what Mr. Francis was telling you?
I think, no. Obviously, a lot of other source reporting at the time, but more focused on the SDS. Myself and all the other members of the management team, office team, would, on occasion, fairly regular occasions, see for ourselves. And
how would you see for yourselves?
At a perhaps a public order event.
Can you recall a public order event at which you attended and witnessed a member of YRE committing a crime of violence as opposed to exercising the right of self-defence?
I certainly can't call it to mind today.
What steps did you take to verify the accuracy of Mr. Francis's reporting about YRE?
I think we would have taken steps on a regular basis, not just in relation to YRE, but other groups. It would be, we had regular opportunities to assess the credibility of what Peter Francis was saying, sometimes perhaps at a meeting where he has taken part in the same public order event as other field officers, and we would often get very detailed accounts of what various groups, including YRE, were doing. That, at the time, it would have been a very, very clear way of checking the veracity and of what was being said, and also that we would see the work of C Squad, where they would be able to monitor the same group, same events.
Could we take that document down now? Could we have up 721934, please? This is a record of an interview with police in September 2013. Could we go to page 14, please? At the bottom, the question is, did Peter Francis's tasking change during your time as a DI? And then I will leave you to read the answer that you gave.
Yes, I've read that.
The passage that I'm particularly interested is now right at the top of the screen. If we could come down a little bit so I can see a little bit.
Is that starting with the word customer?
It certainly developed in the way that those roles, and particularly on the far left, did. In other words, he increased his position of seniority and influence within his target area, and then I think towards the end the requirement from the security service began to tail down. Increased his position of seniority and influence. What did you mean by that?
Well, beyond what I've actually said, I can't immediately add anything.
In what way was Mr. Francis's influence within his target area increasing?
Well, I think by just typically, as a field officer progresses, as in any other situation, become winning trust, and I mean influence. I think in terms of his role, it's just it gives him opportunities to manage the role, even I should say, if he needed to get out of a particular event.
He is taking positions of responsibility within his target area, isn't he? What influence did he have over his targets, and how did you want him to use it?
Well, to win trust, to obtain the intelligence that he did obtain. No more than that.
Did you want him to try and steer those he was mixing with away from violence?
No, he was. I think he understood that. Well, I'm sure he understood that he should not encourage, incite violence, and he should remain neutral.
So neither encourage nor discourage.
Yes.
What's the point of having influence if you're going to do nothing with it?
Well, that's not doing nothing with it. It's giving, it's just what naturally follows, and influence in terms of if let's say if he wanted, if the SDS and if customers wanted him to be present at a particular event, but someone in his group wants him to be doing something else, he would have influence to do without raising any suspicion, to go to the event that customers were interested in.
Your questions, or your answers to my questions, seem to be directed at access and security, not at seniority and influence. What was the significance of seniority and influence?
No, I think, well, seniority, the example I just gave, that sits perfectly with seniority, and I think it does fit with influence.
Can we take the document down now, please? Now, 34484, please. This is a report attributed to Mr. Francis, which you have signed. And if we could expand the main section of the report, it's about George Silcott and the Winston Silcott Defence Campaign. I'll give you a moment to refresh your memory as to the content.
Yes.
Was Winston Silcott widely regarded within the MPS as having murdered P.C. Blakelock?
Oh, I think I did catch the name, but could you just repeat
Was
it?
Winston Silcott, George's brother,
Yes.
widely regarded within the MPS as having murdered P.C. Blakelock?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Was Winston Silcott hated within the police?
Not to my knowledge.
What was your view of Winston Silcott?
I don't think I had a particular view. I certainly can't recall. I can't recall one.
This is a report on a man who is standing for election at a local level, isn't it?
Yes.
On a justice campaigning ticket.
Yes.
And the report provides details, contact details for the Winston Silcott Defence Campaign.
Yes.
What was the justification for signing off this report?
I can't say fully today. The only thing that strikes me this morning is, for whatever reason, that there is a file, Winston Silcott file, for the report writer and, probably the DCI reading it and signing it off, sending it to C Squad. That would have been sufficient.
Sufficient that it's the Winston Silcott Defence Campaign.
Yes.
Could we take that down now, please? Could we have 245210? I'm going to show you two documents, then ask you some questions. The first is a nominal pro forma dated the 21st of June 1995. And these questions are about Lisa Teuscher, and you will see in this document the nominal pro forma about her. Once you've absorbed the contents of this page, please say so and we can go over leaf.
Yes.
So that's June 95, and the report is obviously raising concerns about an alleged sham marriage, isn't it?
Yes.
Take that down now and have 742997 up, please. We're moving forward in time 10 months. This is a special branch report. The minute sheet is signed by HN67, who's obviously moved on from the SDS by this stage. If we go over the page, please. And it's a report about Ms. Teuscher, and it's about her struggles with the Immigration and Nationality Department, and how the Immigration and Nationality Department is dealing with its concerns about the alleged sham marriage. If you read the first 3 paragraphs just to get the background.
Yes.
Paragraph 4, you will see, insofar as we've been able to publish it, deals with the position of the IND, the Immigration and Nationality Department. That appears, therefore, Special Branch understands what the IND position is. And if we go over to page 2 and look at paragraphs 6 and 7, you'll see that the writer has a good understanding of IND's strategy and intentions.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Having seen those 2 documents, what I'm interested in is this document appears to show Special Branch have been liaising with IND in order to investigate an alleged sham marriage. Am I understanding the documents correctly?
Yes.
In your experience, how common was it for Special Branch to be using its intelligence to liaise with IND?
I don't think I had, at the time, I don't think I had any awareness of that connection. I certainly don't have a recollection of it today.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Can you help us fill in any of the gaps as to what was passing between the SDS and C Squad about this case in order to pursue the allegation of sham marriage?
No.
I don't want any specific details, but can you think of any other instances in which SDS intelligence was used to further the work of the Immigration and Nationality Department?
Well, no, I've no recollection.
Could we take that down now, please? Could we have 246030, please? This is a report dated the 5th of March 96 about a forthcoming industrial action the following day. It's about a council workers' strike in Hackney. It's an advertised event organised by the trade union Unison, at which a significant number of people were expected. Could we expand the text, please?
Yes, thank you.
This is a report about trade union activity, isn't it?
Yes.
There is no reporting here one way or the other of a public order angle. There's no suggestion that it is going to be either disorderly or not disorderly.
No.
One would not expect a strike organised by a union such as Unison to be anything other than properly stewarded, would you?
Yes.
Why is the SDS reporting on straightforward trade union activity?
Well, today I can't say it would certainly. It certainly wasn't crucial intelligence, but a decision was made to report it in March 1996. It probably didn't need to be. I think it would have happened in the way, the undercover officer has picked it up. That officer doesn't know whether it's of interest or whether it's important or not. I mean, at the time, who knows? It's just difficult to say, isn't it? There are going to be 500 people turning up in Hackney. I guess, local police will be having to deal with that, but this is not vital intelligence, I accept.
This is an example of the SDS crossing the line and reporting on trade union militancy as opposed to subversion.
It doesn't strike me now as suggesting that. It strikes me as a field officer reporting what he has heard in the course of his duties, which is not targeting trade unions at all, but quite why it was decided to report it and send it presumably to C Squad. Obviously now you think, well, this was unnecessary, but it was not have been done in response to any targeting of trade unions.
If we take that down now, please. Can we have 246031 up, please? This is also dated the 5th of March 1996. I'll give you a moment to read it.
Yes.
This is another report about industrial action, isn't it?
Yes.
In this case,
yes.
The suggestion that a concession by the LFCDA is not going to be enough to prevent calls for strikes to continue.
Yes.
Again, no suggestion here of any public disorder arising from this legitimate industrial action, is there?
No.
And as I think you were adverting to in relation to the last report, it would have been perfectly open for Hackney, if it had any concerns, to Hackney London Borough Council to contact the police about those, or for police to ask questions.
Yes.
No need for undercover reporting here.
No.
Was there any subversive concern underlying this report?
No. No.
Because again, this is on the right side. This is mere industrial militancy as opposed to subversion, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Is this another example of unjustified reporting on trade union activity?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Is this another example of unjustified reporting on trade union activity?
No. I would give the same answer as I did in the previous case.
What is the justification?
Well, it's an explanation. I'm not seeking to justify it.
If you're not seeking to justify it, we can move on. Can we take that document down now, please, and have 747764, please? This is a report about a march which is going to take place on the 23rd of March 1996 between Forest Gate and Ilford Police Station in furtherance of the Ibrahim Say Memorial Campaign. A march and a picket, 300 to 350 people expected, the mood anticipated to be tense and hostile. Can we have a look at the first paragraph, please? I'm afraid this is an ex post facto report. It makes no difference for the questions I want to ask. Look at that first paragraph, please, and I'm asking you to direct your mind specifically to the reporting on the racial mix.
Yes, thank you.
Why is it necessary to report upon the racial background of the demonstrators?
At the time, I'm sure that the undercover officer, the field officer, and the report writer and the manager signing it off, I think the understanding was that this was useful reporting, not in any way.
If I could stop you there and pick up on useful reporting. In what way was it useful for the SDS and the Metropolitan Police Service to know that 90% of the demonstrators were black?
It didn't have that kind of use. This was being sent to customers whose job it would be to provide a risk assessment, and at the time it would have just been information that has been gleaned, not for any other purpose than allowing special branch customers to have a full picture.
Was there a view that because the demonstrators were predominantly black, they might be more volatile?
I can't tell from reading this today. So I don't really know the answer to that.
Could we move now to paragraphs 2 to 4? I'll give you a moment to read them, but essentially I'll be asking you if they paint a picture of a highly emotionally charged march which was well policed and well stewarded by the Newham Monitoring Project.
Yes, thank you.
And if we go over the page so you can see the end of that final paragraph.
Through to the source comment.
Well, if you read the paragraph that ends at the top of that page, and then it would be useful if you read the source comment as well.
Yes, thank you.
And do you agree it records a highly emotionally charged march, well policed and well stewarded?
Yes.
By the NMP?
Yes.
Does this report continue to reflect the keen interest in racially charged protest that the SDS had?
I can't, in any way properly answer that today, but what I can say is that this report reflects the work of a field officer who is, by and large, reporting, fairly in a sort of,
It's not addressing the question I'm putting.
No, of course.
The SDS is interested in this sort of march because there's a high level of racial tension.
No, I think, no. The SDS is interested in this march because we are infiltrating a group that took part in it, and our officer is reporting it to the best of his ability, and fairly well, it seems to me, on a public order event, which was, this was the SDS, this was bread and butter, wasn't it? This was routine SDS work.
But what the SWP and militant Labour are doing at this event is purely selling their papers.
But that was sufficient for the officer to be able to report it, and for the report writer to prepare this and for it to be sent to customers.
We can test it this way. If the SDS was interested solely in what the SWP and militant Labour were doing, their report could have been one paragraph saying they attended this event and limited themselves to selling their newspapers. You're interested in more than that, aren't you? You're interested in a racially charged protest.
I think it was, it was standard practice. If we were to look at, if we were able to look at a C Squad reporting at the time, we would see, I think, how public order, whether an event is peaceful like this or not, it's there's a big police department there that wants risk assessments, whether they are sort of a risk assessment that is suggesting a benign event or a very difficult one. They wanted, that's what we were contributing to.
This is an ex post facto report, so this part of the reporting on this event doesn't fulfil that.
Which
role,
part, sorry?
An ex post facto report like this doesn't fulfil the need for preemptive intelligence.
I think it does, because campaigns are ongoing. Customers want this, want this kind of reporting, and risk assessments will benefit from it.
The NMP's role here is conspicuously helpful, isn't it?
Yes, seemingly, yes.
And entirely in line with that of the bereaved family.
Yes.
There is a lot of evidence, isn't there, that left-wing activists did want to support racial justice campaigns and to protest, but they wanted to do so peacefully.
Yes.
Why then, knowing that these campaigns and the left-wing activists who wanted to support them overwhelmingly wanted to do so peacefully, is the SDS generating so much intelligence about them?
I think, generally, not specifically to this, but I can recall that our main customers on C Squad, who, the risk assessment people, that they valued this kind of reporting, and that I'm sure we would have had feedback as well. Public Order Branch, they valued it.
Can we take this down now and have 246190, please? We're moving on to the 29th of April 1996, and this is a report about a protest in support of the Brian Douglas campaign outside the CPS headquarters, then at Ludgate Hill. It's about a picket, approximately 20 people, disorder unlikely, and it had been advertised publicly by leaflet. Could we look at the text, please? I'll give you a moment to read that.
Yes, thank you.
Picket outside CPS headquarters, very small one by the sounds of it, to protest a decision not to prosecute, followed by a picket outside a police station. Report on a black justice campaign?
Yes.
No criminality indicated?
No.
No public disorder predicted?
No.
Very small event with minimal Trotskyist involvement.
Yes.
This isn't justified reporting, is it?
It's hard to justify it today, but at the time it would have been reported for the benefit of C Squad. This event, I'm sorry if I can just quote one sentence purely to sort of try and get an impression of what was happening at the time. This event will be followed up by a picket of Kennington Police Station. Well, I think we were expected to report on this again. Any public order context, it was not understood as targeting the Brian Douglas campaign, and notwithstanding the low level of threat, obviously this is one of those instances where an SDS report would assist risk assessors to respond accordingly.
Can I put it another way? Would it be fair to say there was no system in place to apply any sort of proportionality test to your reporting?
Not sure. I don't think that's quite right. I think
Well, where's the line if you're
as I've
reporting
said before,
something like this?
Sorry?
Where's the line then if something like this is being reported?
Well, a public order interest, and I'm not quite sure if we are, as a small unit, contributing to the bigger picture, and I think we would have been told or asked by C Squad to provide this kind of intelligence. And it's
Mr. Lambert, I understand what you're saying about it having some policing value. But when I mention proportionality, I'm talking about setting that off against what it is involving to get it. This is a very minor public order matter, and you have got an undercover police officer who is attending a vigil for a dead man as part of the family's campaign of protest.
Yes.
Against the police.
Well,
did anybody address their mind to whether that was a proportionate and appropriate thing to do?
I think even if we did, as SDS managers...
Well, did you?
Pardon?
Did you?
I can't rule that out, but I don't, let's say no, probably not, because if this was considered to be of value to C Squad, we would report it.
Can I just stop you there, and can we take this document down, and can we go to 720991? If we go over one page, you see what it is. This is the transcript of an online question and answer where Peter Francis was asked questions by members of the public online, sponsored by, organised by The Guardian in 2013. Can we go to page 7, please? And can we have a look at the question and answer under Tux 28, 25th of June, timed at 12:58. I'll give you a moment to read that.
Yes, thank you.
Were you aware that Mr. Francis was attending the Brian Douglas's campaign candlelit vigil outside Kennington Police Station?
I can't recall today. I would have had a good understanding at the time, I'm sure.
An event at which Mr. Douglas's relatives were all there. Why didn't you stop attendances like this at deeply emotive events?
Well, look, I can't I can't recall. I can't recall that he was there, but I'm quite prepared to accept that he was, or he certainly could have been. If his target group was there, then I can understand why he would have been there as well.
Doesn't answer my question as to why you didn't stop this sort of very intrusive reporting on emotive justice campaigns.
I think, I mean, I don't want to resort to saying this is above my pay grade, but what I think I've indicated is that, this was work and this was reporting that was valued.
It's not an unfair point you're making, Mr. Lambert. Can I take it from what you've just said? Nobody above you in the chain of command did anything to stop this?
Well, no. Okay, let's say that, yeah.
I interrupted you. Was there anything else you wanted to add material to the question of why didn't you stop this?
No, I should wait. I mean, there are other things that occur to me reading it, but I shall wait and see what you ask.
Was there ever an occasion when Peter Francis said in your presence that what the Metropolitan Police should really be doing, and the words that he says he used were stop fucking killing black people, or anything remotely like that?
I'd be very surprised. I feel I can. I know he has this recollection, but I'd be very surprised. I think I would remember. I can certainly recall him developing, concerns of this kind, but not in May '95.
Can we take this document down now, please? I want to move now to the question of Mr. Francis's sexual conduct undercover. Mr. Francis has said that he had a number of one-night stands whilst he was undercover. Did he ever say anything to you about those?
He didn't, and I was very surprised to read about them, and his other various comments that he's made.
Why were you so surprised, given that the tradecraft manual we went through yesterday did not prohibit sexual activity undercover?
Well, I think the tradecraft manual comes a bit further, certainly well down. I think Peter Francis was, quite well deployed before then. No, I just, I didn't see him, I didn't understand him in the way that he has more recently described himself, he talks about, well, I won't perhaps talk about that, but no, I was genuine, despite my own background. In his case, it did surprise me.
Why?
Because I suppose I'd got to know him, I thought, pretty well, and I guess where we are today, I shouldn't be surprised sitting here, but there we are.
Can we take it you never asked?
No, I didn't.
Could we have up 748733? This is a witness statement made by DCI Masters in the course of, in response to questions put by this inquiry to her. If we go to page 2, please, paragraph 15. give you a moment to read that.
it 104 is
Carlo Siraki.
oh right, yeah, yeah, ah, yeah. Mm.
So what DCI Masters is telling us is that during the course of her investigations, she was told by Carlo Siraki that there was a suggestion that Mr. Francis had had a relationship with a woman called Judy Beesham, and that the reaction of an SDS sergeant was, oh yeah, that's Pete's bird. Are you able to help us one way or another with whether or not there was ever a sexual relationship between Mr. Francis and Ms. Beesham?
No, not to my knowledge.
Are you able to assist us as to why a sergeant should think, to adopt the rather sexist language, that Pete had a bird?
Not directly. I have read this, and I think it probably comes after my deployment. But I know the sergeant.
Yeah. The rumour is circulating after your time, but it's about events, alleged events,
yes, of course,
in your time.
No. Well,
Were there rumours circulating that Mr. Francis was involved in any sort of sexual activity undercover?
No.
To be clear, both Mr. Francis and Miss Beesham say nothing happened between them.
Right. Yes.
But what I'm interested in is whether there was any suggestion at all at the time that Mr. Francis might be involved in sexual activity undercover.
No, I can say definitely not to my knowledge.
Can I move, if we take that down now, can I move now to the summer of 1997 when the Stephen Lawrence inquiry is announced? Can you recall what Mr. Francis's reaction was at the time of the announcement of the public inquiry?
I can recall that there or thereabouts that he expressed concern, whether it was, immediately or days, weeks later, I can't recall.
And what was his concern?
Was his deployment going to be revealed to the inquiry?
And at that early stage, was his position that he was fearful that his cover was going to be blown?
Yes.
And what was your response?
Again, I don't want to sort of condense the chronology, but at some point, let me go back. I'm sure that at the very least, I would have discussed it immediately with the DCI and the rest of the team, but particularly, obviously, the DCI. But I have forgotten the sort of
Well, I can prompt you if you like. Mr. Francis has told us that you and DCI Edmondson, tried to reassure you, saying that wouldn't happen. He wouldn't be exposed. He didn't like that answer. He didn't think enough was being done. he went up the chain of command and went to see HN86. Is that correct?
Not quite. I mean, just he didn't really have it as a field officer. He relied on me and the rest of the team to sort of facilitate the subsequent meetings where he met senior managers. That wasn't behind it wasn't behind our backs. It was through.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking, is it right that he didn't like the answer that he got from you and went up through the chain of command? His evidence was initially to HN86, and when he still didn't like the answer, up to Commander Pearce.
Although when I was reading about this, my recollection was that when he spoke to Mr. Pearce and others, I think that was all one of the same meeting. I think there was Mr. Pearce was there. I think a former DCI, I've forgotten the number. My first DCI, who just has a cipher. I think he was there. That's two, and then of course. He was by then. I think he was a superintendent.
HN86.
Whereas I think Peter Francis remembers, I think, two separate meetings. I think it was all one. I can certainly picture the venue because it was unusual. It was, I suppose there were lots of unusual things happen, but. Sorry.
Yep. If I could, so, your recollection is, it's Peter Francis, Commander Pearce, HN86, yourself, DCI Edmondson, in a room because Mr. Francis is very concerned about this issue.
And I'm just going to say, just to sort of emphasise, if you like, this is one occasion where I can picture it visually because it was in a safe flat, and that's all I need to say. But it just for me, it's one of those things where I have an actual visual recollection of something, and before I forget, at one point. My first DCI, who's cipher, I can't.
86.
I think after the meeting, he said to me, "Goodness me," he said, he's changed a lot. Reference to Peter. I'm sorry.
If I could ask you now, what I'm interested in is what was the substance of the decision of this collection of senior officers? What did they say to Peter Francis about his concerns?
I think number one was to understand his concern, why, and to try to reassure him, but first of all to try and understand what exactly how he'd arrived at this.
And how
point.
Did, again, if you could succinctly tell us, how did Peter Francis fear that his cover was blown, and what reassurance did senior managers give him?
Yes, well, from those two senior managers, you should not be concerned. You will not be exposed.
Was there any discussion at that stage about whether or not the inquiry would be told of Mr. Francis's presence within activist groups?
I can't recall that, and maybe, well, they probably, I don't think they would necessarily have been discussed with Peter Francis at that point.
Wouldn't that be one way of reassuring him?
Yeah, well, indeed, and so maybe it was. I can't recall all of the content.
Mr. Francis's evidence is that he changed his tune once Sir William Macpherson was announced as the chair of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, and he says at that point he positively wanted Sir William to be told of his presence within activist groups because he trusted Sir William. Is it true, as far as you're aware, that Mr. Francis changed his tune in that way?
No, I've had the opportunity to think about that. I definitely do not recall that. I would expect to, had it been expressed, if he had expressed that concern to me, I would expect to remember that.
Were you party to any conversation as to whether or not the presence of SDS undercover officers in left-wing protest groups associated with campaigning on behalf of Stephen Lawrence and his family being disclosed to the inquiry?
No.
Are you aware whether or not there were any such discussions?
I may well have been at the time. I can't recall now.
And would it be right that, to the best of your knowledge and belief, the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was not told about the presence of officers like Peter Francis and HN81?
Yes.
Can we move now to 246959, tab B179, sir? We're moving now to the decision not to extend Mr. Francis's deployment. This document is a file note made by you, dated the 28th of January. Give you a moment to look at that, but what I'd like you to concentrate on is the reason for not extending Mr. Francis's deployment. I don't think you need to dwell on the details of the withdrawal strategy. It's the timing that I'm interested in. It's the timing of the decision not to extend that I'm particularly interested in. It says in paragraph 1, it was decided that the customer requirement in respect of militant labour was not sufficient to justify an extension. And he was told his duty would finish as scheduled in September 1997.
Yes.
Is it right that by customer requirement, this is a reference to the security services diminishing interest in groups with revolutionary aims?
Yes.
And that they were moving to a watching brief about such groups using the SDS as a sort of minimal eyes and ears in case of any sort of renaissance of activity.
Yes.
And against that background, there is no longer a justification, in the view of management, for continued infiltration of militant labour.
Yes.
Can we inherent in that is it wasn't thought that any public order threat arose from militant labour's activities?
Well, that's true, but there is, I mean, there is more to be said. I think maybe I should just wait and see what's in the rest of the paper. Well, let me just say this, just for clarity, while it's in my mind. You know, he has, what are we, 97, September. This is at the end of, 4 years?
A normal tour. He's coming up to the end of a normal tour.
Yeah.
He wants to stay in longer. You're saying no.
Yes, but I dare say it'll come on to say it, but of course, you know, his role was not solely and not primarily to do with the security service interest, but that was, I mean, it's a given that his role is greatly valued in respect of public order, intelligence, and as you know from the record, I was, wholly and highly praiseworthy about his work. The point here is that an extension, he would require something additional to that. Anyway, I just wanted to put that into context.
We looked at a report earlier which showed that militant labour was no longer pursuing its aims through having members join the Labour Party and was committed to democratic elections. In circumstances where that had been known for some time, why wasn't Mr. Francis's deployment drawn to a close earlier than the normal 4-year term?
Well, I think I've just answered that because for, the substantial part of his deployment and right through to when he finished, he was providing very good public order intelligence, much of which we've seen, I think.
By the time of this document, is it right that Mrs. Francis had raised concerns about DC Francis's well-being?
Yes.
That in itself had not led to Mr. Francis's deployment being ended, had it?
Well, it would have been taken into account, and I think it was taken into account.
Your evidence in your witness statements is in fact it reinforces the decision not to extend, but that wasn't my question. My question was her concerns had not prompted him to be withdrawn early.
Early? Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's correct.
Why not?
Well, I think her concerns were listened to. I mean, I listened to them very closely, and I discussed them with the DCI, and actually, at least one other member of the team, and we certainly took it very seriously. We did not. I don't know. There might be some reporting on this. We did not think that it warranted an early exit. I'm sure one of our considerations would have been, had Peter Francis been told, right, you're leaving early, that may well have exacerbated some of the concerns that we'd been made aware of.
Was anything done?
Anything done? Well, I'd have to sort of try to refresh my memory on what the concerns were. I mean, I can remember what I think was the central concern. If you want me to talk about that.
My question was anything done?
I not that I can recall beyond, I guess, the trying to, yeah, okay. Well, look, there would have been obvious things that we would have done, because the concern was really that, or the illustration that I was given was of Peter being unable to switch off, and he had, whether it was whether it was a really some sort of early mobile phone or a page or something, but I just remember that Mrs. Francis was very concerned that when he was at home, she could see he was constantly concerned.
If I could direct you, Mr. Lambert, not to what the concern was, but to answer the question, was anything done?
Well, we could. I used the concern to illustrate how, I think we would have, been able to encourage him to, try to carve out. I mean, we spoke earlier about influence, and so in his group, and other field officers, we would have sought help from other field officers without divulging. I mean, I was under strict instructions from Mrs. Francis not to tell him that she'd asked to see me, and I didn't want to breach that. But we could do a lot of things, and I'm sure we did, with senior field officers, people he would listen to. Say, oh, Pete, how's it going, and blah, blah. Well, why don't, because by then, I think a lot of, field colleagues saw him as having become more and more, wound up, anxious, and always on the job. And so senior field officers who did the right thing and took a period of leave and used their influence within their target group to take leave and to get away from it, or they would have helped in that, or could have done, and we, myself, I would try and suggest that approach, so as to help him be able to, step back from this constant involvement.
So is that a convenient time for the break?
Certainly. We'll have a 15-minute break.
Thank you, sir. Could we have up, please, 747560? Mr. Lambert, we're moving to Mr. Francis's exfiltration, and I'm going to show you two documents. This is a post-operational report that you wrote on the 3rd of February 1998, and if we could have the text expanded. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And if we could have up 721965, please. Page 4. This is a note of Sergeant War's interview with Herne officers, and the section Francis's removal from role. I'll let you read that, but it paints a more dramatic picture of events.
So, could you just tell me again who's written this?
Sergeant, it's Herne. It's a Herne officer writing up what Sergeant War has said.
Right. Yes, thank you.
I'd like to take you through your recollection of events a step at a time, and see what your recollection is now. Can you recall whether it was a case of the plan to go to Greece falling down because of changes to activist plans and being replaced by a plan to exit via Spain? Or was it a case that Mr. Francis wanted to go to Spain first and then to Greece?
My recollection would be the former.
Greece having fallen through, did you approve an exfiltration strategy that involved a trip to Spain?
I believe so, yes.
Was it also approved by your DCI?
I would have thought so, I can't recall.
When you agree that exfiltration strategy, to what extent did you approve or talk to him about the detail of executing that strategy?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
To what extent did you discuss the detail of that exfiltration strategy with him?
I can't recall today.
Can you recall whether it was agreed he would travel over land to Spain?
Well, yes, I expect so.
Can you recall who it was that he was going to travel with?
No.
Can you recall whether there was any suggestion that he was travelling with the wife of a member of his target group?
No, I don't recall that.
When he executed the withdrawal strategy, did Mr. Francis execute it in the manner that had been agreed or not?
Well, not without some problems, but generally, yes.
What problems were there?
Well, there are issues that DS War sets out or this interview with DS War, some of which I recall, and as you can see, there were difficulties.
Which of these difficulties, recorded by Sergeant, or on Sergeant War's behalf on his account, do you recall?
I don't recall much of it.
Were there problems with drug use?
Were there problems?
With drug use?
Not that I was aware of, no.
Were you aware that he was taking drugs?
No.
Did you have to track his location by tracing his financial expenditure via the police-issued credit card?
No, this rather surprises me.
Was there any suggestion at any point that he hit somebody on a plane?
I think the concern was that he was in Spain without any cover.
Could you answer the question? Did you hear anything to the effect that he'd hit somebody on a plane?
That he
hit somebody on a plane?
No, no.
So you were saying the concern was that he didn't have cover with him.
Yes.
Any other concerns?
I think a concern that he needed to return home.
Why didn't he have any cover with him?
I can't recall today why that was. It wouldn't have been without precedent. There would have been, a discussion. But if there was, I think if it was thought to be safe, and then there wouldn't necessarily be a cover.
Thank you, sir. You were explaining to us, Mr. Lambert, that you were disappointed when Mr. Francis and HM123 brought legal proceedings against the Commissioner. Was that disappointment shared by others within the unit?
Yes.
And what was the strength of feeling?
Well, it was, you know, it was, I think, reasonable. I don't think it was, wouldn't describe it as anger, but certainly, you know, disappointment. I think there'd be field officers and management, there'd be different levels, but I think for some, you know, some managers, there was, the disappointment was because you know, one officer in particular was highly regarded, and it was I think disappointing all round for all concerned.
Did you get to see the evidence?
See the evidence?
Yes.
I don't think, I don't recall that I did.
Were you involved in any of the decision making?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Decision making, in what sense?
As to how to deal with the claim?
Well, I think I was at certain points, I think I was able to contribute to discussions.
Did you provide a witness statement?
I could well have done. I can't recall it.
Were you aware that the allegations included allegations that there had been sexual relationships undercover?
No, I don't recall that.
And that justice campaigns had been targeted?
No.
And that officers had assumed positions of influence within their target groups?
No.
Presumably then, I don't need the details, but were you providing instructions as to the SDS's version of events?
I don't think so. No.
Are you sure? Because you were Francis's direct chain of command within the unit, weren't you?
Yes. Yes.
Are you sure you didn't know what the allegations were?
I don't think I was. No, I don't think I was ever told.
The litigation is ultimately settled, and Mr. Francis is awarded a commendation. Do you recall being at the commendation ceremony?
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do recall, yeah.
And what contact did you have with Mr. Francis at that stage?
Yeah, as I've said, I had an ongoing welfare brief.
What was your view of the Commissioner's decision, and I'm not necessarily meaning that personally, of the decision by the Metropolitan Police Service to settle the claim?
Probably mixed feelings. Still ongoing disappointment. There might, perhaps, on the other hand, some relief that this long process had come to an end.
Was part of the relief that any threat to the operational security of the SDS was much diminished by a settlement?
Yes, but as I've said already, I don't think I was ever given the details that you've described.
Was there a feeling that by bringing the litigation, the two officers had given rise to a risk to the operational security of the SDS?
That the proceedings provided a threat?
Yes, by bringing a claim.
Yes.
And was that feeling widely held?
Yes.
And that would amount to a breach of the golden rule, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Sometime after the settlement and the commendation comes the 40th anniversary dinner of the SDS.
Yes.
Mr. Francis said that at the time of the commendation, you gave him to understand that he would be invited to that event and welcome at it. Did you do so?
No. I'd like to just expand upon what I've said in my witness statement, which is accurate. Whatever the question was, I answered it, but I think I didn't go into, maybe I didn't then have time, but certainly since I've had time to recall the issue of the 40th anniversary, 2008, I think. Right. So there was never an SDS reunion on at the 40th anniversary. The only official SDS reunion took place at the 25th anniversary. That said, what happened often, and I can recall when it was the 30th anniversary, a small group of officers, largely Tranche 1, would meet socially in a pub. And at the 40th anniversary, that's what I'd heard, that's what I'd become aware of, that a small group of officers were meeting, for a drink. It was a small-scale thing. I think I mentioned it to Peter Francis and others. I was retired from the police. I was working at the time.
I don't think we need to know that level of detail, Mr. Lambert. What I need to know was, did you give Mr. Francis to understand that he would be invited to that event?
It wasn't a question of invitations. Had I gone, I would have.
Could you answer the question?
Sorry.
Did you give Mr. Francis to understand that he would be invited to that event?
Yes.
Is it right that he was not invited to that event?
Well, it wasn't a question of having an invitation. I think, had I, you know...
did he know where and when it was going to happen?
Did I know?
Did he know?
Did he know?
Had anybody
no,
told him?
did I know? I probably didn't. It was something I was aware of. I'd mentioned it in conversation to him. You know, look, if I did not intend it, and I don't think it was understood
No,
to
sorry,
be...
I'm just trying to establish
Sorry?
the facts. Told us you did give him to understand he'd been invited. As I understand your evidence, you're telling me you don't know whether he was actually invited.
Well, I can be clearer than that. It was, you know, there's a discussion between me and Peter Francis. It's, do we, and perhaps one or two other friends, you know, former people, do we want to go? That was it. And it was a very small, informal gathering. And
Why wasn't Mr. Francis there?
why wasn't he there? Well, because probably, you know, out of 100, 200 former officers that could have been there, I expect there were about no more than 10.
Was he invited?
Well, not in the sense, no, there was no formal invitation.
Was he invited in any way whatsoever?
Only to the extent that I'm describing.
Did he telephone you to discuss the fact he'd not been invited?
I can't recall this, but I would have surely, I think, I would have contacted him to say, well, you know, I'm not going, I can't go, no one, I would have probably said, well, no, as far as I can tell, no one that we know is going. It doesn't add up to much.
Did you tell him that people had voted for him not to go?
No. Now, okay, that I've read. That's what that's his understanding. I really don't think. It's very. It seems inconceivable to me that I would have said that.
Did you tell him that the black balls exceeded the white?
Not in relation to this this reunion. No.
In what context did you say that to him?
I have no idea. It's it's a phrase I might well have used at some point, but.
Was the feeling that as a result of Mr. Francis having breached the golden rule by bringing proceedings against the commissioner, he was persona non grata?
Well, he may well have been persona non grata in places, but that was not the basis of why he didn't go and I didn't go. That was not the basis of it.
Why didn't he go?
Because I was stuck in Scotland, couldn't make it, and I was, I was, if you like, trying to rustle up a small group that could go along.
Why were you trying to rustle up a group if you
Pardon?
couldn't? Why were you trying to rustle up a group if you couldn't go?
Well, that was before. It was only on. I think it was probably only on the day, or when I, realised I wasn't going to be able to get down to London in time.
Can I move to another topic now, please, Mr. Lambert? There was a change of various systems in May 1997. I'll call up the document. 527362, please. It's a document setting out new administrative support and liaison arrangements, and it appears to occur at around the time the unit moves from having 2 sergeants to 3 sergeants. And so if we go to page 6, for example, we see with each of the 3, below each of the 3 sergeants' initials, various administrative roles, and within the body of the document there is reference linking various sergeants to various officers. Can I ask you, this administrative change in May 1997, did it in practice affect the amount of contact that you personally had with undercover officers or not?
Yes.
Again, without mentioning any specific officers, could you tell us how these changes affected the level of contact that you had with undercover officers?
Well, here we see the 3 sergeants. Previously it was 2, and we know that previously one was reports and one was finance admin. But what this, let me. Well, just looking at the top lines, admin, finance, transport. Actually, what isn't stated is that one took responsibility for...
I'm just going to stop you there. In terms, my question is very specific. In terms of the direct contact that you have with undercover officers, does that change?
Yes, to a degree, yes.
Do you have more or less?
Less.
Is that because, and you can give me a yes or no to this, please, is that because the sergeants are taking more of that role?
Yes.
Does it follow that your relationship with the sergeants changes and you are dealing with them more as intermediaries between you and the sergeants?
In some situations, yes.
Would it be fair to say, though, that you still have plenty of contact with the undercover police officers?
Yes.
And that you still know, in broad terms, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis?
Yes.
I'm going to move now to HN 26, but before I do so, sir, I have a confession as well, because I fear I've set a hair running. I appear to have misread the handwriting of the Herne officer about striking a woman on an aeroplane. It's been pointed out to me that the properly deciphered, the word is stuck, not struck.
What is the, sorry?
Stuck a woman on an aeroplane. Do you recall, Mr. Francis, any talk of Mr. Francis not striking a woman on a plane, but sticking a woman on a plane?
No.
Thank you. HN 26. Did you give HN 26 any advice about sexual activity in her undercover identity?
No.
Could we have up, please, 746 348. This is moving on now. I'm interested in these documents. I'm going to take you through it's the start of thinking about how her cover identity was generated. This is a document of the 29th of May. And it's about John Dines in the light of the Chitty affair. And it records at the bottom of page 1 that close comrades have sought to trace him since his departure from the field for welfare reasons. We'll be coming back to this topic in some detail later. But our understanding is that from soon after John Dines withdrew from the field, there had been efforts to contact him through his mother-in-law. Is that right?
Yes, but well, maybe not. It's the chronology. I think the first thing, the first concern, is when two people visit his parents' address.
Yeah. What I'm interested in is I am interested in the chronology. When in May 1994 it's being noted that close comrades have sought to trace him since his departure from the field for welfare reasons, is that referring to recent activity, past activity, or both?
90. I think I have dealt in my statement with what I recalled about these issues.
At this stage, the document goes over the page, in paragraph 2 of the second page, to say he's still highly regarded, believed to be living in New Zealand.
Yes.
So, if you can't answer the question, just say so. But my question is what's said about attempts to trace him referring to past or past and then current attempts to trace him?
Certainly, 94, certainly past, but whether it, I can't recall now what the position was in 94.
Okay, if we take that document down now, HN26 joins the SDS in the summer of 1994. Was she, we know that she does not use a deceased child's identity to found her legend.
Yeah.
Was she instructed from the outset not to use a deceased child's identity, or was she initially told to use one and then there was a change of mind?
No, unless I've made a note, I can't recall now. I can't recall the details of her cover.
She deploys in November 1994 using a cover identity that we know did not rely on a deceased child's identity. Can we go to 527403, please, tab B79, sir? And to page 2 of that document. And we'll see, if you see the text in the middle of the page, we see a record there of the change of system.
Yes.
Our understanding, the evidence is going to be that Helen Steele found the death record for Philip John Barker, the child who John Dines used to found his SDS legend, in the middle of November 1994.
Right.
And my question comes to this. Do you know whether or not Helen Steele's efforts to trace John Dines had any influence in the SDS's decision to change to a system of no longer using deceased children's identities?
I can't recall today whether and to what extent it played a part in that decision that's and the detail that's provided in this report.
Did you have a role in making that decision to abandon the use of deceased children's identities?
Yes.
What was your role in that decision?
We would have had a discussion, myself, the DCI and DS's pros and cons. I think the system, possibly the major prompt for a change, I think, was a change in the system itself. The system, registration and so forth.
Who was the ultimate decision maker? Was it you or somebody else?
Well, yes, obviously the DCI would make the final decision.
Do you know whether the DCI sought the approval of anyone in a higher rank?
Almost certainly. I mean, sorry, I don't recall, but I mean, I'd be very surprised if it wasn't.
At what rank would you expect a change of this kind to have been approved?
Well, in the chain above the DCI, so the head of Squadron, probably Commander Operations.
So would that be a convenient time to break for lunch?
Yes, it would. Can we try and resume at 2? Slightly shorter lunch break.